Okay, so I'm going back to my very first video. Oh wow, it's been a long time. No, you do not have to watch my first video to understand this one. This is kind of like a recap slash continuation video. The Pokeball Theory, that is not the official name. It is not my original theory. It's just my opinion on it. The main question here, what would happen if Steven got injured and went back into his gemstone? Okay, multiple outcomes here. This is not a simple theory with a yes or no answer. Okay, we know there are two simple ways out of here, or out of the situation. Would Steven come out, or would Rose come out? Well, technically Pink Diamond, but we know, aka Rose. We know that they cannot coexist together. I think it's too good to be true if we had Pink Diamond coming out of the gemstone, because then Steven would be stuck inside the gemstone, and that wouldn't quite work. And then Pearl's information would be useless if Pink Diamond came back. Second of all, there's another possibility of them coexisting outside the gemstone, and that's through fusion. For example, if Steven got injured and went back in the gemstone and came back as a fusion between himself and Pink Diamond, how would that work out? That would be weird. Also a little too good to be true. And then when unfusing, one of them would have to go back in the stone. So that wouldn't quite work either. But with the last episode of Steven Universe, we saw something pretty interesting with multiple pearls, multiple layers of her mind, like Inception, but a Steven Universe version. But dark enough where you could easily compare it to Inception. It was interesting. Now I wonder, do all gems have multiple versions of themselves and multiple layers of their mind? This could be a Pearl thing, like maybe it's just Pearl because of all her baggage and all the secrets, or maybe something that all Pearls deal with. We don't really know. And the thing is with Steven, since he's technically connected with Pink Diamond, and he technically is Pink Diamond, would he meet other versions of himself or other versions of Pink Diamond? Because remember, their minds are basically connected. They are two in one stone. We've seen him crying her tears, looking through her memories, and gaining her abilities. And just one thing I want to point out, with the tears, I'm wondering why Pink Diamond was crying so much. We assumed that it was Rose crying because of guilt of shattering Pink Diamond, which we know now that isn't true. I think maybe she was crying from frustration with dealing with the other diamonds, how they weren't really treating her right. And maybe the guilt that she was trying to colonize a planet that she realized was actually beautiful, or guilt from lying about her identity, or all the above. Either way, those tears had other origins that we didn't quite realize. They were not tears from shattering Pink Diamond, they were tears from something completely different. But long story short, it is possible that Steven can meet multiple versions of himself, or multiple versions of his mother if he went inside his gemstone. It's possible, since they are two in one. The other thing, I wonder if there's a time limit, like a limbo kind of thing. We've seen that gems, when they get injured and go in their stone, they have to be there for a minimum amount of time to actually heal up. I remember one episode with Amethyst, how she kept rushing out of it, and she would come back kind of mutated, then eventually she would spend enough time in there where she would come back totally healed. So that just goes to show that there's a minimum time, but what about maximum time? What if a gem wanted to stay inside their stone for like a really long time? And we saw Pearl did that and eventually came back, but I wonder if there's a moment where you have to leave. Like, what if Steven got injured, went inside the stone, and it was like, okay, you gotta get out by this amount of time. Like, you have to be here for no more than 2 months. Like, maybe that's the limit. And he's like, oh, I've never been in here before, how do I get out? And then he'd have to go on a journey and within himself to try and figure out how to get back into the real world. It's like, okay, if you can't get out of the stone, you're basically stuck here forever. Or, I don't know, maybe he would find out some crazy levels of his mind that he's never seen before. Kind of like how Pearl had parts of her mind that she couldn't even get to, unless Steven came in to help her. So that would be interesting too. I wonder how long they really need to be in there. The other thing with Steven Universe, I understand the Pearl situation with her cell phone. It's different from being injured because she had someone else go into her mind versus being injured and going in herself. So that is the slight difference here between Pearl's situation with the last episode and the possibility of Steven being injured and going inside the gemstone. That is something to kind of look out for. That is a caution here. The other thing too is that Steven is a hybrid, he's half human. So people might argue, hey, he can't go in the gemstone because he's half human. Only pure gems can go inside their gemstone. I get it, that is possible. This whole theory can just be nothing, and maybe he'll never get injured, and maybe he'll never go inside the gemstone. Or maybe he would be fused with another human, and that would prevent him from going inside the gemstone. Or he would go in, and then, say, Connie would sit there holding the stone like, yo, what just happened? You know, it is possible. Either way, it is an interesting theory, and it may never be figured out. This mystery may never be solved. But who knows? It is something to think about. That is all, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.